Hello and welcome to the Not My Job Pod, where I am your host, Emily Gant, and I am talking to people who have jobs that are not mine and not in tech. So today we are joined by the lovely Hope Maguire, who is actually a new entrepreneur. So thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, nice to be on the podcast.
I'm really excited to talk to you today, especially because launching a new product is definitely super interesting to me, but also the product that you're launching is something I know absolutely nothing about. And honestly, I hope I have this sounds terrible, but I hope I have no firsthand experience with your product is my life goal. So with that being said, can you explain a little bit about, what are you up to?
Of course. So, sorry. I have literally just today revealed the product on Instagram. I've got three kids, so I've got three boys, and I breastfed all of them. And again, when you hope you don't get this for yourself, but when you're pregnant, they do a lot of like, this is what childbirth is like, and this is what pregnancy is like. You absolutely nothing about like breastfeeding. So like I had no idea that like if you're feeding a baby on one boob, the other one just like pours milk. It's not a case of like they take turns. It's just you go one, the other one's going to go as well. I was really lucky. I had like a great supply, a great breastfeeding journey. Yeah, like excess milk. So like I just leaked everywhere all the time. And the only option out there is like these really horrible like little. They're about this big. They're tiny. Like disposable pads. And they're full of, it's pretty much like the same as putting a period pad on your boob. It's the same kind of makeup, and they just go in the bin. And they scrunch up. They're horrible, and they're just really bad for the environment. Or you have reusable ones, which are the equivalent of like a bamboo face pad, which again they just move around. They're useless. So, what, 6 years ago, I started designing or had the idea for this bra that would be, leak free. It would have these kind of removable pads that would, absorb all the moisture and you could change them out, wash them. They would actually cover the whole boob. And then it took me probably 3 years to actually get to the point where I thought about it's one of those things like 3 years later. Still no product out there that did it. And now kind of the technology has caught up in terms of the materials available. So it was kind of something I could actually look into design. So I started designing it with a technical designer. I think it was like October 2023. So this has kind of been 2 years in the making, testing, designing, sourcing fabrics. And like all the fabrics are sustainable as well. So that's what I'm launching.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's wild to me, though, and we're going to get into all the nitty-gritties of kind of this product and the journey to get there, but it's amazing to me that it sounds like this hasn't been created because there are millions of
Yep.
mothers who are breastfeeding every day, every year, every
Yeah.
decade. And why do you think something like this hasn't been created?
Honestly, because it's a mum problem. Like it's one of those things. It's a woman problem, it's a mum problem. So unless it was going to be created by a woman who has experience in it, it was never going to get created. There are a couple of bras out there now, but not the same kind of style or design as mine. And it's still only been the past year or two that this has kind of come to market. I think having the technology, so like with the period pants, that kind of same material technology has kind of allowed it to happen. But still, I think it's just because it's a mum problem and that it's just not seen as something that's worthwhile investing in.
I think it's a good point too, because just generally women, I finished a long time ago. One of my favorite books is Invisible Women, and it talks about like how data does not benefit women in general. And I think it was just a few years ago that the first seatbelt was actually designed for women. So other than like a year ago, women were far more likely to die in a car crash because our
Yeah.
center of gravity is different. And that just, oh, it makes me so angry.
Yeah. Well, I think it was either earlier this year or last year they started testing period products with blood. It up until now been done with like water, which we obviously know is not the same consistency as having a period, which again is madness. I'm assuming it's because it was designed originally by a man and that's what they thought was relevant. So yeah, it's madness the amount of products out there that are probably still needed by women, but because it requires a woman to design it and we just don't have the same backing or investment generally as men, I think it's just not going to happen, or it's just going to take a lot longer to get there.
Definitely. Or like a lot of problems just aren't even surfaced. I can't tell you how many times I've read like a medical study and it's like, well, we only studied men because they don't have hormonal changes throughout the month.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, half the population has hormonal changes throughout the month. Why are you not accommodating this group?
No.
Yeah. And so it sounds like kind of the existing version of this is a product that is basically like taking a pad that you would use on your lightest day and then expecting it to just catch like a giant volume of milk. Is that kind of what the current state of the market is?
Yeah, exactly. And they and the pad, the design of pads, like the disposable ones, haven't changed in like years and years. I mean, I again started breastfeeding like 6 years ago, and they haven't. The design hasn't changed. They are literally just got a tiny little bit of the adhesive on the back, and it's literally just a circle with some like absorbent material in between. But in terms of it's like the gel, the absorbent gel kind of stuff. When they move around, like I said, like I used to go through maybe 3 or 4 pairs a day. And when I was sleeping, like I don't know about you, but my nipples don't stay in the same place when I'm sleeping. So like, I'd still wake up in a puddle of milk because it's only covering very small area of me. So yeah, it was yeah, the problem hasn't changed.
Yeah, and even just the concept that it's round is, like not every breast is round. I don't know, like
No, you can very much tell if someone's wearing them. Like you can see them through your clothes, like because they get all scrunched up, and yeah, it's not shaped to a breast in any way, shape, or form. Like doesn't even take into account that there's a nipple on the end of a breast. It's literally just a round piece of material.
yeah, okay. That's
Yeah.
so problematic, but I'm glad that this new product is coming. Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine about it recently, and she was like, "Yeah, I didn't know that you couldn't." And this, I don't know. I'm just repeating because I'm not a mom. Don't ever plan to be one. But she was saying she didn't know you couldn't wear underwire with a bra. So she was even just trying to wear like a normal bra with this pad, and that was just an absolute nightmare as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's no information while you're pregnant for breastfeeding. Quite often what happens is you get a baby and they go, there you go, now you can breastfeed it. And it's like, okay, it's not working. So I was very lucky. It worked for me. Most people I know it hasn't worked and there's no support, very few charities. And then you've got to pay for like a lactation consultant, which is not cheap. It's one of those things where women just aren't provided the relevant support.
yeah, I will say in Germany, I find it quite interesting actually because new mothers actually get someone assigned to them who comes to their house, and that's part of like the public health care is that you have like weekly or twice a week check-ins with this lady who like comes up, well, not always a lady, but usually a lady who comes over to like make sure that you're, not suffering from postpartum depression, that you're able to like latch your child to your breast. And like that to me was so unheard of coming from the US. Like, does the UK have anything like that?
We do, but not to that intensity. Like you might see a health visitor, you'll see kind of midwife once who kind of pop round and, check. It's usually checking you. It's checking, that your, body's kind of healing or it's going towards healing in the way it should do. And then maybe you'll see a health visitor once or twice. But again, health visitors range in their experience, their demeanor, their things that they're particularly interested. Some are very kind of, they do read up a lot on breastfeeding. They are quite hot on it. Others, not so much. So then it's a case of luck of the draw as to what, you're experiencing and what someone who's coming to see you as a medical professional knows. And I think one of my health visitor meetings was on the phone and she literally just asked me, she was like, how are you? And now, if I wasn't doing well, I could have easily just disguised it on the phone and be like, oh yeah, I'm fine. But actually, as soon hung up, like fell apart into a puddle on the floor. So the general system is, again, it's fairly flawed for supporting women.
Definitely. And also the question, how are you? I feel like every woman worldwide is conditioned to just be like, I'm great. I'm bleeding out of a hole, but I'm fine.
Yeah, exactly. And I think especially for like first time, you have no idea what's going on. You have no idea what's normal. You have no idea how long you're meant to be bleeding for and should things be falling out of you? When does milk come in? Is milk meant to come in? Is my hair meant to start falling out? Like one of these things that you're not told. And then it's just like, we'll just give you a phone call and see how you are. That's it.
Love that. By love that, I mean, I hate that.
Yeah.
So I do want to back up though, because before starting this product and becoming a mom, you had a different career. So we don't need to go super deep into that, but I'm kind of curious when the shift happened from, working just kind of because I believe you were in a regular 9 to 5, and then kind of the shift, and I guess maybe did motherhood influence the way that you wanted to work, or was that something that you always had in mind, or kind of what was that journey like for you?
Well, I'm actually still working a 9 to 5. This is very much like I'm doing both at the same time, which is almost impossible.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I work 4 days a week still. So I'm the head of business operations and HR for an agency, and like operations and HR has always been my career. And I think during COVID, actually, which I never like to mention that word, it's kind of triggering for a lot of people. But I got made redundant and I worked for myself because that was the only option for probably about 2 years. And I think working for myself gave me a completely different view of like the working environment and the whole kind of like being expected to like your contract says like 9 to 5, but being expected to work hours. I mean, I don't work Mondays. I'm still checking my phone on a Monday for urgent emails, and especially when the more senior you get, the more likely you are to jump on those kind of emails and urgent calls and take calls on your days off and things like that. So that's kind of how my career kind of came to where it is. And also, I've just seen so many businesses run just badly and the culture being awful. So it was very much a case of this was always a product I wanted to create, but it was more about if I got the opportunity to grow this into something where I got to employ people and it have a voice. I have a very specific idea of what I want that to be. Like, I want people to love to work for me. I want people to know that it's like a job and a career, but it complements their lives outside of work. I'd love to give opportunities to people who maybe don't get the opportunity to work in that kind of environment, do a lot of learning and training. So it was kind of double-edged in terms of this particular project, and then wanting to build a brand and an environment where I could hopefully grow and develop people that like love working somewhere, because I think it's really hard to find now. It's like a unicorn trying to find somewhere that you like the job, like the people, feel appreciated, it works for your lifestyle, and you don't work for someone who you hate. Like, it doesn't sound like it's that hard to find, but it's actually harder than you think.
I totally agree, not within the specifics of what I do, but yeah, like I have worked for companies that I've thought like, oh my gosh, like why is this so horrible? And then you switch and then you get to work. Like right now, I love the company I work for. And I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like,
Mm.
when are they going to say something that's mean, or like when are they going to be awful? And they haven't yet. And it's just crazy because I think it is so easy just to, work or life say, you're doing a good job, or I liked the way you phrased that, or are doing really good work here. And it's so simple, but a lot of companies miss the mark for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think my background, I run the operations of businesses. People is a big part of what I do. So I run my own business. I've worked across many industries. So like in terms of that part of it, I know what I'm doing. So it didn't seem a huge leap to go from, you know, like to create a business, like all that kind of bit. I know the only bit I really have no idea what I'm doing is the marketing. It's never been my strong side. Creativity, no. Spreadsheets, yes. But so if I could find a partner in the future who is all over the marketing, then absolutely I'd like would take them on in a heartbeat. But so it's kind of it's not a huge leap, in terms of knowing what I'm doing. Never worked in retail before, so that's slightly different. But everything's e-commerce now. Like, it's very rare that, it might be that I never actually had a shop and like an actual physical shop. So running e-commerce like that I can do. It's still just, there's lots of bits that I don't know about. The marketing is a big one. Like knowing that there is something called B-roll on Instagram is a whole new world that I hate being a part of.
No, that's fair. I think, yeah, it'll all come together. It's like, yeah, if you put the right thing out there, then the right people show up, and then it goes from there. So I'm curious though, because you said that you had been working on this for a few years now. So I think it's an interesting time to be talking to you, because I'm excited. I feel like in, a few years from now, hopefully that you've quit the 9 to 5 and you're just working on this.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess what does that process look like if you have an idea, and then I think a lot of us have ideas, but you actually put it into you put it into motion. So
Mm.
like what does it look like to actually have this idea for a product, and then like is there a patent on it? Is there like what are all the things you had to think of operationally?
Yeah, well, first of all, like I said, I've never worked in retail or fashion or like product. A lot of what I've done is like service-based businesses. So I had to I literally put a thing on LinkedIn being like, hi, I'm looking for a lingerie designer. And luckily just someone I spoke to, and she was like, no, I'm the wrong kind of designer. You need like a technical designer, someone to actually quite create a pattern for you. I was like, okay. So she gave me someone and I was just like, okay, great. I had this amazing lady called Elena. There was a lot of like, again, like she kind of ran the show. I was just like, you're the professional. I just have an idea. Let's test the theory. And obviously I have 3 kids. I have a house. I have a husband. I have a job that actually needs to pay my bills. Like I didn't have a ton of money to just throw at it. So it was very like it had to be slow. I mean, I probably could have done everything a bit quicker if I had just a bunch of cash to throw at it. But then at the same time, I think sometimes when you have a bunch of cash, you throw it at the wrong things. So we literally just over the space of like, it was probably about 9, 10 months, just went back and forth trying things out. I had a lovely local lady who had just had a baby, so she was testing it for me, back and forth. And then I found again, like just through Googling, trying to find sustainable fabrics. Because again, I had never resourced fabrics before. Wouldn't even know where to start. And there was this lovely lady who has a fabric shop in Wimbledon, and she's been amazing in terms of just helping me and giving advice. And I think that's it. I think finding, if you're lucky enough to find people who will give you advice on their area of knowledge. Like you don't have to know. I think that's one thing. You don't have to know everything. Like I don't know everything. I know what I know, and then I'm very much leaning on the other people that have qualifications and experience to tell me. And sometimes I take their advice, sometimes I do my own research based on their advice, but I'm very much going like, I don't know the answer to this. Like I will hold my hands up. Do you know the answer, or can you point me to someone who might know the answer? They have networks of people that they can point me to, and they've been so helpful and so supportive. So yeah, in terms of pattern, I didn't go for a pattern just because it's quite expensive to do in the first place. It's quite laborious to like uphold. And so we have something in the UK called a design right, which costs £50.
Oh,
And so I've done that, and I figured actually I'm just going to be the best doing what I'm doing, and then I won't need to worry about a pattern. You think it like there's loads of period pants and stuff out there now, and they've all got their own USP. So I'm just going to really focus in on what I'm doing, do it really well, and hopefully that works. But yeah, there's loads of things like, building a website. So I'm doing that myself off of Shopify, which is actually really easy if you know you're a techie person. Obviously the marketing I'm doing myself. And a lot of it is like, yeah, like registering a company, setting up terms and conditions, finding an accountant, all that kind of like tick box stuff. Which again, I already know how to do. And actually when I was freelancing, I did create another company called Boss Club, which was the idea was to be kind of a small business, I suppose, catalog of like things to do when you've got a small business. But I was exhausted and went back to the 9 to 5 before I kind of really got that off the ground.
fair, fair. So when you were, I think it's really interesting that, because I think that's what makes managers good, is not necessarily that they are the experts, it's that they can take advice from other people and then pick the advice that's good. So I think it's really powerful what you just said about, we ask questions and then we choose the answers that resonate moving forward. So when you were working with this technical designer on the bra, was this, did it come back like the initial prototype comes back, like it comes in like a paper, like a visual, like what kind of, or did they, give you a like an actual like thing to try on, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I kind of had sent like a mood board of styles of bras that I liked. And then she literally just created like we kind of had chats back and forth because obviously again like the kind of thing I was asking her to do hasn't been like designed before. So she was literally having to work out technically how it was going to work. And she literally sent me back a version. One had like poppers on like one cup of the bra, and the other had what I have now, which is this kind of like sling hammock for the pad to go in. And I was just like, poppers are never going to work. Like, and also, who wants poppers in their bra? Um,
Maybe this is a British American thing.
oh,
What are
maybe.
poppers?
Like press stud, is that what you call it? Like, what would you have it on? Like I'm gonna say a baby grow, like the bottom of a baby grow, or
Oh, it's like a suction cup, kind of, or
yeah, like these like little metal kind of things you just push together. Press stud.
just like a bra clasp or clip.
No, what would you call it? Where
This
would
is
you
so
have it?
funny. I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
What would you call it? It's like they're usually like tiny and round, and one's got like a little nipple out of it, and the other side has got a hole, and you just push it in.
Okay, yeah. I would just call that a clasp, but yeah,
Yeah.
popper. Yeah, yeah. Okay, sorry. That's so funny. Okay. Interesting.
But I was like, no one wants that in a bra, right? Like, it's just not because if you're taking the pad out and you're not going to wear a pad for whatever reason, you just got all these poppers in your bra. So we kind of
We call them snaps.
snaps. Okay, yeah,
Snaps.
that makes sense
Okay.
for noise.
It's so sorry. Please continue.
Good to know though that if I ever like go to the US and they ask me about it, I'll be like, you didn't use snaps.
That's right.
Um, so yeah, so that was kind of a like phase one, and we like, okay, that didn't work. So she went back and redid it in the kind of the format that we kind of had agreed or to go forward with. Then I saw some material, and she kind of tried the pads out specifically in this material, because again, like the structure of it would depend on how like firm, like how like firm the material was, I suppose, how structured it was. Then I kind of went to this lady in Wimbledon, and we looked at actual like the bra fabrics. And there was this beautiful one that I really liked. It was like ribbed and it was really soft, but it was like too stretchy. It would have given like no support. So but I wanted to try it out. So again, like technical designer made some samples in the two different materials with slightly different designs. I was breastfeeding at the time, so I got to try. Once we kind of got to the point where I had material, I'd had my third, so I was actually then able to like test them out and use it myself. So like I could really kind of put it through the ringer in terms of making sure that it definitely did work. And we made some adjustments on like it was kind of a bit gappy at the front, so we kind of made some adjustments. And then she kind of, once we'd agreed on the pattern and what it looked like and the form, she just did the pattern for me, and she was like, right, here you go, here's your bra and paper, well, online form, but like, you can rinse it out and have it cut out for production.
Very cool. So when you were testing it yourself too, were you just kind of like sitting there like, oh, finally something, it works? Or like, how did it feel?
Oh yeah, it was great. I mean, because it's not obviously just the pad, it's just the whole design of the bra. So obviously I'd had two kids by this point where I'd breastfed, and there kind of only, again, really seemed to be two options for bras, either really pretty, but not particularly comfortable, or something that my nan would wear. And like, no offense to my nan, but the kind of usually they come in like grey or white, and there was no structure to them. They usually like would come up to here, just not, no confidence giving for that. So as well as that, like the actual bra looks like nice, like, and it's comfortable, take into account like a wide band, supportive like cup style, thicker straps, bigger, more clasps like along the back, because when you're pregnant, all your organs get shoved up into your rib cage gets bigger, and then eventually, horrifying, and then eventually your rib cage goes back a little bit as they all fall back to where they're meant to be. So like all these other kind of things I had kind of specifically wanted designed into the bra. So yeah, like I mean, I hate wearing bras like with a passion. So to be able to have a bra that I knew had all these things taken into account, and I wasn't leaking, and finding, a breast pad had like moved round my back while I was asleep. Yeah, it was one of those things like, oh my God, like my theory, it's more that my theory was like right. And I was also like, again, why hasn't anyone done this before? Like, and it's still that kind of, is there a reason no one's done this before? Like still, or is it literally just because no one's had the guts to do it or bothered to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the point you made earlier too about the like period underwear kind of becoming more popular now. It's wild to me that that hasn't been done before. Also, I feel like that kind of got popular in the last few years, and every time I see an ad for that, I'm like, why has this not been something that existed forever? So yeah, maybe it's just you found the gap in the market. So yeah, that's amazing. I mean, have there been any like surprises as you've been building this venture up though that you're like, oh, that was harder than I expected, or that was easier than I expected, or other than the marketing? I mean, I guess from like actually creating the product or, you know.
Yeah, I think one of the things that became a lot easier than I thought. I lost you.
I'm still here.
I saw again. I thought I lost you. Yeah, one of the things that was easier than I thought was getting a loan. Um, so obviously, as much as I've done this at the moment with my own money and been like trickling bits here and there, I still need some money to start off with because although we're doing made to order to reduce waste and to manage cash flow, pretty much, I will still need to buy some material and things. So I need a small loan to begin with, and getting that was a lot easier than I thought. It's just the kind of government startup loan, and again, it's one of those things like, is it really validating just because I really know what I'm doing and my cash flow is like on point and my business plan is on point? Or is it just really easy? Like, I'll never know. But I think I literally put the application in, and a week later got a response being like, "Oh yeah, you can have the money." And I was
I would like to say that like some man is out there who also just applied for that loan and he never said to himself, was I only accepted for this loan because so it's easy to get a loan? I feel like there's no man who has ever said that
like,
about his loan application process.
no, you're probably right. But so yeah, so that was actually really easy. I think the hardest thing that I found is like costing it up. Not the actual process of costing up a product, but I think the realization of how like companies make products in places like China and the rest of Asia and how little they must be paying to produce those items. Because I'm making it in the UK, the prices are a lot more expensive. And obviously, then because they're sustainable materials, then they've been, so the bra is like a specific thing. It's called regenerated nylon. So it's made from kind of, carpets and fishing nets and things like that. So it's obviously gone through quite an extensive process to be made. And the pads are actually from a US company and they are, like plastic free, BPA free, all of these things. So all of those parts make it quite expensive. And I think coming to the realization that one, everything in the US, like it made overseas, is must be extremely cheap to make, and therefore they can price them so low. And then realizing that actually my product is going to be expensive, and having to know that I'm going to have to justify that at some point and compete against products that are going to be cheaper than mine. It might be cheaper to buy a nursing bra from H&M and pads. So then having to know that I'm going to have to convince someone of the benefits of buying my product over something that's cheap and not sustainable. I mean, so in my role currently, I'm responsible for all sustainability at our company. So my 9 to 5 job, we're, B Corp, we're ISO standards. So sustainability is a big part of what I do generally. And I know how difficult it is to kind of convince someone to take the sustainable route. So I think that bit, that just the realization of how cheap stuff must get made, and the big brands, won't name them, but a lot of the big fashion brands, the fast fashion, and how it must just be churned out for pennies. It's quite scary actually to realize how bad it must be.
Yeah, I mean, I think just how fashion has changed over time is very interesting. I think maybe probably, our parents' generation, you had a few like outfits, you had your nice dress or like your nice outfit or, you had different outfits for different occasions, but like it wasn't like, you just had this overflowing closet in the way that we do now. Because now, I can just pop to whatever shop and grab something for 20 euros or, $20, 20 pounds, whatever. Um, and just kind of go home and I'm like, oh, I have a new little shirt today, a little treat for me. But in reality, like, a lot of that just ends up in the landfill or I wear it twice and, it doesn't go anywhere. So, um, there are definitely pieces in my wardrobe that I have spent a lot of money on and that is because I know that they're going to last for 10 years. So hopefully a lot more people are starting to see it that way too.
Yeah, I mean, something that actually the machinist that I'm working with to produce the bras, we're currently looking at is I'd love to create this kind of I'm going to call it the Danu rebirth scheme. Because again, like breastfeeding, some people literally only breastfeed for 2 months, 3 months, and then they've bought six bras. And then those bras go where? Like you donate baby clothes, but no one really donates like nursing bras onto their friends. Like it just doesn't happen because either you're a different size and also it just feels a bit weird. So she's currently looking at how we can then transform that bra back to a normal bra. So the idea is that yes, you are buying an expensive bra, but you can send it back and for a small fee, get it changed back into a normal bra. So have the nursing clips taken off, have it kind of so it functions as a normal bra so that you're actually investing in a bra for nursing and then beyond is the idea. Because again, like you think there's like, again, millions, even in the UK, I think it's something like almost 600,000 babies are born in the UK. And of 80% of those women start breastfeeding, they don't, and then half of them by 6 months have finished. So you think all of those women buying bras that are probably from, like I said, like H&M, or they're made from virgin materials, they're going to end up in landfill. They're probably not going to a charity shop or their friends or going on Vinted. Like it's literally going in the bin. Like I have a pile of them. I don't know what to do with them. Like who's going to want bras that have been used for 6 years on and off for breastfeeding? So they're just kind of sat there and like they'll probably sit there for another couple of years. I don't know what to do with them. So that's like kind of a bigger part of the brand is that it's really going to try and be sustainable and prevent waste like going forward and kind of give a bra a longer life cycle.
Definitely. No, I think that's amazing. Yeah. No, I just think the whole thing is so cool. I guess I am curious though, because you have three boys, right?
Yeah.
So you have three boys, a full-time job, and now you're starting this business, which is like really, you're releasing the shop in September. Is that correct? September 20.
Yeah, so pre-orders, so like soft launch in September for pre-orders, and then yeah, October will be kind of hard launch, full thing.
No, like it's happening. So I guess I'm wondering, like, do you sleep? Like, what is your, like, I don't have kids. And sometimes I get a little like, I'm like, oh, I'm so stressed. Like, I have too much happening. And like, in reality, I'm like, I don't have anyone to answer to. I can just cancel these things and go take a nap.
I have that. I'm very lucky. Like my husband is very like supportive. I will literally be like, I need 2 hours to finish this within the website. Like I'm going to a coffee shop, and I will be like, bye. But it is literally like every spare moment. Like I said, the hardest part of things like the marketing is trying to find time to create content. Like I have a newfound respect for influencers, absolutely, because trying to find time, well, also trying to find time somewhere that's like aesthetically pleasing, because my house is not aesthetically pleasing in any way, shape, or form. To create content is like it's really hard. Then yeah, it's kind of like in the evenings after the kids have gone to bed. It's on on the train on the way to work. It's getting up if I can. The kids are currently getting up at like 5 a.m. So if I'm getting up at 5 a.m., there is a 50% chance as to whether I will get anything done before they wake up. But yeah, it's literally working in the minutes and seconds in between the rest of everything that's going on. Because unfortunately, my actual like 9 to 5 job is not one that you can kind of just coast in. So it's fairly intense. So it's literally yeah, like evenings, weekends, mornings. While the kids are in a soft play, I'm literally like trying to do like tweaks to the website or write a blog or, send
Yeah.
emails. Yeah. I mean, once we actually launch and I have to do orders as well, that's going to be a whole new issue.
Yeah. I mean, I think I can't remember where I heard this, but someone was saying once like the best decision you can make for your own business is your partner, which is, I think I'm sure in the context of that they were talking about, some like male CEO or something. But
Yeah.
I do think that's true because you kind of forget like the extra labor of the other person who like, takes a little off of you and granted that's, what they signed up for. I guess how does that, you mentioned like, for example, you're like, I got to go finish this. And then you just kind of go. How do those conversations go? Or how is it, working on this thing that takes a lot of time? How has that affected your family? Or I don't know,
Yeah.
open-ended question.
I'm pretty strict with myself that I will not like I very much try not to be around my phone or my laptop around the kids.
Same.
Summer holidays slightly different. Like on Fridays, I'm working from home, and like my oldest is off school, so he's just playing with his Lego. But yeah, so I try not to do it around them, but I'll literally be like, let's say on a Saturday morning, like, okay, we've got this in the morning, this in the afternoon. At this time, they they're gonna watch a film. I'm gonna head off to the coffee shop for 2 hours while they're watching a film and the little one naps. It's a lot of like logistics and thinking, when can I take that 2 hours? And I'm often having to sacrifice, for example, going to the gym or going for a run. I'm having to go, okay, as much as I would love to do that right now, I actually am going to have to sacrifice that and go do work on the brand, like on the website. It's kind of sacrificing those kind of things, or I'm not going to ever miss like the kids swimming lessons, but I will sacrifice something that I want to do instead, like, or a social occasion instead. I'll be like, I can't come out for drinks. I've got to do this. Which is really hard for me because I am a yes person. So if someone goes, hey, do you want to go out? I'm like, yep. Oh, you don't even know what it is. Don't care. So I'm really struggling with that, to be like, actually, I have to actually commit to this thing that I'm doing, because if I don't and it fails, I'll be really annoying, because the amount of sheer effort that I've put into it, not even necessarily financially, I think it's just, and I'm finally passionate about something. So to kind of put that aside just because I haven't put enough effort into it, I think I'll be really annoyed with myself. So I have to kind of remember that.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I find myself, I'm not starting up a new business, but like I don't know, I have different hobbies or I like hanging out with my friends, and then on one hand it's like, okay, well you didn't build something, but like I don't necessarily have to. I don't think people have to build something to be successful. But I guess what I'm rambling and trying to say is that it's a trade-off. Like, if you want to do something, you have to like say goodbye to something else, and that's always a hard pill to swallow when there's so many things that we all want to be doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, this year I promised myself that I was going to pick up a hobby again, but that is definitely going to have to wait a few years, I think.
Yeah, I feel like trying to add a hobby on top of like all of this is that's really ambitious, but
Yeah, I think maybe starting a business. I've got friends who like they hit their kind of this age and they're like, I'm going to take up this random thing, and I've decided to take up starting a business. It's like a mid-30s crisis, start a business.
yeah. Well, I mean, I started a podcast, so I relate in that way, I suppose. But I think it's interesting though as well because a lot of, now I'm at the age where a lot of my friends are mothers or becoming mothers. And I do think being a mom is a full-time job in itself. Like, I don't want kids, but like anyone who wants to tell me otherwise, I'm like, nope. Even if you're a stay-at-home mom, you are working 40 hours a week. And then, if you have a partner, they come home and, assuming that they're working too, like, then everything else gets split 50-50. So I guess how, I don't know, thoughts on that, or like, is motherhood a full-time job? Because then in that case, you're working as a mom, as a full-time employee, and then starting this business on top. So,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to be a stay-at-home mum. Like, to me, they're both hard in their own ways. I think for
yeah.
me, I like the fact that I can go to work, I can have a hot cup of coffee, I can use my brain in a different way. Like, I love my kids, but they're a lot. I enjoy my weekends and my Mondays off with them, but I also enjoy going to work. And I think a lot of it, that so a lot of, like, let's say mum influencers, or some of them will talk about the mental load. It's not necessarily like, I think nowadays, and actually my mum, who I honestly didn't think she'd ever say it, but she's like, you guys have it harder now being parents than we ever did, because there's so much more. You've got social media, there's a million like after school clubs, there's all this expectation that your child should be doing this, your child should be doing that. Like, the sheer admin of having kids, I think, is so much more now than it ever was. And there are so many more opinions on how you should raise them. There's gentle parenting, helicopter parenting, the almond mum, and I don't even know what most of these things mean. Like, and there's always someone who's going to tell you that you're doing it wrong, or you can just open your phone and see that you're doing it wrong. It's really hard to like stay mentally stable and have children. So almost like doing the other things, because I know that I can do those things, and there's a process and there's a system, and I know what it takes to run a business, and I've been doing it for a really long time. That's almost easier than parenting, because parenting, you have no idea what the right answer is. Like, I have three children. They're all very different. I have to parent them like almost differently. And I don't know if I'm screwing one up or the other one up because I'm doing it differently. And I won't find out for years to come, by which point it might be too late. Whereas like I know if I put something in a wrong box on my accounting system, I can fix that. Like, or an accountant can fix it. But the parenting is like, it's wild that we have no idea what we're doing, and yet we're all expected to do really well at it. So yeah, I think being a parent, especially now, is just, it's feels like a trap. It feels like a trap.
I mean, that's been the general sentiment with a lot of my friends who have kids is like, yeah, no matter what you do, you're doing it wrong. Your kids are going to need therapy later anyway, so just let them be. But I think kind of the biggest difference between when we were growing up, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but there's more community. Like I remember like I was so mad at, my parents because I had to go to sleep early and like I could hear all the neighborhood kids outside like playing with each other. But like they were unsupervised, and I got to play with them too during the day, but it was just one of those things. Like now, I think everyone's so worried, and like there's more anxiety around parenting that yeah, you don't just like ship your kids off to like yeah, have fun in the neighborhood, run around, just come back by 7. That doesn't exist anymore. Like, has community been a struggle for you or other moms you know? We're not raising children together anymore. We're kind of all like it's your nuclear family, and that's who has to raise the kid.
Yeah, I mean, I have been really lucky that I have found like a group of kind of mums that had kids at the same time as my first, and they've gone on to have other kids. But and especially when they were younger, like we'd be out all the time together, around each other's houses, could text them at 2 in the morning. But as they've got older, that's changed because now they have their own, they're at different schools. And again, I've managed to make friends, but you very much have to proactively go out and pick some people that are going to be your community. You have to, sorry, have to really hope that like the people you pick are the right ones that have the same views on you as parenting, and it's not the same. And I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky, but I purposely kind of stayed near my family because then I know people who all their entire family and network is up north in England, and they have to drive miles and miles to see them. And I don't know how they manage. Like I don't. I mean, my parents don't really do childcare, but they're there if I need to have a break and just go around there with the kids one day, or if there's an emergency, I can call on one of them to come look after the kids, so I can go to the hospital or whatever it is. I think not having that, it's definitely not the same as when we were growing up, and everything has to be planned and organized. You have to take your child to somewhere. Like I used to play outside all the time. Like I used to just get on my bike and I'd be like, see you later, mum. And then if my mum wanted to find me, she'd just ring around people's houses being like, is Hope there? Like, she needs to come home. I would never think of that. And I don't know actually how much is our own anxiety and how much is actual like required fear. I was listening to a podcast about it, and actually being outside is less dangerous than being online. But I think just the the fear of something happening to them like is enough to kind of make you go, no, they won't be play outside kids, they'll be play inside kids, or they'll have play dates, or you know
Yeah, I think about that all the time, like just how the new generations are going to be shaped by the internet, and especially like with the rise of just technology in general. Like I'm so glad I didn't go to university students now, even like they don't know how to like write papers. And I'm not saying writing a paper is like a skill you need to have for your life, but like if you can't get by without ChatGPT, like, ChatGPT is like created on the basis of what people already created. So like we still need people to be creating things. And so yeah, the chronically online generation, they're gonna need a lot of therapy, I think, anyway, regardless of
for
what
sure.
parents do.
For sure, yeah, it's terrifying. I mean, luckily, again, it's something purposeful I've done for my kids. Like they don't know how to use a phone. They can just about find like the camera. So sometimes we'll have to go and delete like 80 pictures of like the floor. But they don't have iPads, they don't have phones. They watch TV not that often, and it's like, here's this old Disney film. Watch this. Yeah, it is terrifying. And it's one of those things you want to be able to equip them. for their future careers, and like they're gonna have to know this stuff. The jobs aren't going to be the same when they get to work than they are now. Like, well, they're gonna what they are starting to be. Like, the job is a ChatGPT prompt engineer. Like that is an influencer. Like those are going to be jobs that they are going to have the option for, rather than potentially like factory worker, because it'll be taken over by robots. But so I kind of want to equip them for that, but at the same time I don't want them to miss out on their childhood. It's a hard balance.
It is, yeah. And also, I feel like it could go either way. It could be like, the new jobs of the future are, yeah, like all AI based, but also there's going to be like a lot of white collar workers in the next like 5 to 10 years are going to have nothing to do. And so I don't know. I joke that if I had kids, I'd be teaching them how to be a plumber. I'd be like, you need to learn like woodworking or like how to fix a window. Like I don't think you need computer skills. You need like house building skills so you can be like a contractor.
I mean, absolutely. I'm actually currently sitting in my sister-in-law's house. Her husband is a carpenter and he pretty much built it himself. It's incredible. So yeah, absolutely. I'll be like, when they go, I want to be and I'm like, no, 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 you can be something practical.
Yeah, they're
Here's
like,
options.
I feel like we're the first generation that like kids are like, I want to be a like a what's a a top tier
IT
job. Yeah,
person.
I want to work in IT. I want to work with computers. I want to be super fancy at this. I want to be a billionaire. And you're like, okay, plumber. That's
Yeah.
what you want to
Here's,
do.
here's a chisel.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's crazy. I do want to ask just one more question as far as this is kind of just out of pocket. I was curious as well, because I do think breastfeeding in general, what your product relates to, can be kind of a controversial topic more in the US than Europe. I feel like in Europe, when you're walking around, it's actually not that abnormal, at least in Germany, like to just see a woman breastfeeding her child, like not on the street, that makes it sound. Obviously, on a bench or like wherever they happen to be and the kid is hungry. So what do you think about what's your stance on that? And then do you think that this new bra would make women feel more comfortable to be able to breastfeed wherever they need to?
I think it's a lot more normalized here than perhaps in the US. And you will quite often, if you see a bunch of mums in a cafe, probably two or three of them have got a boob out, and no one really blinks an eye. Like, I don't think. I mean, I never experienced it, although I know it does still happen with, again, the older generation, I think, thinking that you should be more demure and you shouldn't, and I would never necessarily like flop one completely out. It would be very much like pull up the like minimum amount like necessary to, gain access. I think at the moment, the bigger issue with breastfeeding that's coming out, and again, like I think with my brand, although it's a breastfeeding brand, I'm not one of those people who goes, you have to breastfeed, it's the best thing. Again, it's a hard thing to do. And I don't think people realize how hard it is on a person. Like, you are literally can't go out without a baby. Like, you are up every night, every 2 hours. And when I say up every 2 hours, you start feeding. You feed for like half an hour, they go down for half an hour, and then you're up again. Like, it can be that regular. So like I know friends who, just from a like mental health perspective, that like, I just won't be able to cope, and they've made the choice not to. And I absolutely like do that. Like, if that's what you need, do that. But there's a lot at the moment, I think, one big brand called Medela, who do breast pumps, have kind of made this big announcement that they're going to stop producing their bottles to support the WHO, like the World Health Organization, push towards like breastfeeding and things like that. And it's actually World Breastfeeding Week this week. And it's all about like community and sustainable breastfeeding. And everyone was like, oh, it's amazing. Medela have stopped selling these bottles. They're supporting like breastfeeding. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's actually just a business decision. And they're probably just not making profit on the bottles. And they're just doing a really good PR stunt around it. Because actually, if you're going to sell breastfeeding pumps still, what the hell are they going to put them in if you're not selling bottles? And there's lots of people like, oh, well, it's finger feeders. And I was just like, no, that's BS. Like, that it's just a business decision to stop doing that. And they're kind of using this kind of PR stunt to kind of make out that they're really supporting breastfeeding. And I was like, I don't think that's the case. And then, there was a controversial Karen Millen, like the big fashion mogul. Why she was talking about breastfeeding on TV, I don't know. And I didn't really look into it, but she kind of said, oh, breastfeeding for more than 6 months is just the mother wanting to do it and it's selfish. And there was like this massive, like all these lactation consultants come out and were like really angry. That's rubbish. And it was like, load of people jumped on it and it was really controversial. And I think that's where it's still controversial. It's not necessarily doing it in public. I think it's more the formula versus breastfeeding and, kind of perhaps maybe misinformation out there about breastfeeding, the lack of support for breastfeeding. And it's like a case of like, if you want to do it and it doesn't go well, you kind of end up being a bit screwed because there's no support there for you. And I mean, I was a trustee of a charity which I'm hoping also to fund like through the brand, who do like free breastfeeding support, and they are always fully booked because there are so many people out there needing help. So I think in terms of it being like appropriate and kind of normalized, it's a lot more over here. I think it's more the support and this whole kind of, how long should you do it for? Oh, you can't feed anyone over the age of 1, but the Health Organization says you should feed up to 2 years old, and then you don't need contraception while you're breastfeeding. That is a load of rubbish, by the way. Like it's just there's no like one person going, this is it, like this is what you should be doing. So yeah, and I think in terms of like my bra, I hope it just from a leaking perspective, again, like I hope that it gives people more confidence to maybe do it outside of the house because you're not going to go out and look like you're part of a wet t-shirt competition. So yeah, I hope so. Ideally. And also because I've made them to look nice, like this nice bra. So hopefully it gives, when they go out and they go, I'm not wearing a granny bra today. I feel like a person again. Like I'm not, might still have sick in my hair, but I know my bra's nice and I'm not going to leak everywhere. So yeah.
Nice. I feel like that's I think that's so important because yeah, you should, especially if you just like pushed out a human and then everyone's telling you what you're doing is wrong and you've made choices and then somebody else has different opinions and then you're weighing all that and like yeah, the least you can have is like a little, I feel like a person feeling when you're walking down the street.
Exactly.
Perfect. Well, as we sum up, I just want to sort of give you any space. Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up today or talk about with the product that I missed or just anything else?
No, I don't think so. It's been really great chatting to you. And
Yeah,
this podcast, you've made it very easy and relaxing. So thank you. It's always
I'm
been learning
glad.
to do these kind of things. So yeah, thanks. It's been great. Not saying that I necessarily want to do it again, but it's been a really nice experience. Thank you.
Well, if the podcast is still going in like 5 years and your business is really successful, I'm gonna, I'll guilt trip you back into it and you'll say yes because I'll be like, you're a yes person, remember? And you'll be like,
I mean, obviously, the only thing I'll say, if there's any investors out there that want to, invest in my brand, I'm here. That means I can quit my 9 to 5, develop more products. Yes, please. But um, yeah, it's been great. Thank you.
awesome. Well, I will do my best to market the podcast so that those investors can hear. Um, I I want to start asking people who are on the podcast. The final question is, what is the weirdest thing that you have Googled or ChatGPT'd or searched related to your work?
Oh
Like, or
God.
what is a weird thing that you have searched related to your work?
Related to my work. Well, I suppose in relation to my like actual job, how easy is it to open an office in Dubai within a week?
That's a good one. Okay, I love it.
ChatGPT did not disappoint.
This one, I think this has been my new favorite question because yeah, the weird things we all Google for work is cracking me up. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining today. This was a lovely episode, and I wish you the best of luck in growing Danu. I am so excited to see where it goes.
Thank you so much.